Hello, I'm Mohsen Jamal and you watch Afghan News. U.S. agencies are looking into possible similarities between the September 13 attacks on U.S. and NATO targets in Afghanistan and the November 2008 attack by militants on civilian targets in Mumbai, India. Current and former U.S. counterterrorism officials said the comparison between the two attacks was being made as part of the U.S. government's examination of evidence linking the Kabul attack to Pakistan's principal intelligence agency, the Inter-Services Intelligence Directorate. One point under examination is how phone calls allegedly to ISI contacts back in Pakistan were made by militants during the course of both attacks. Top Pakistani officials have publicly denied the U.S. accusations of ISI involvement and warned Washington it risks losing an ally in South Asia. Information gathered by U.S. and Indian security and intelligence agencies in the wake of the 2008 Mumbai attacks, in which 166 people died, indicated they were carried out by operatives of Lashkar-e-Taiba or LET, a Pakistan-based militant group, also was allegedly close ties to ISI. 7 Afghan civilians were killed and 4 were wounded in a landmine explosion Friday in southern Kandahar province, police said. Among the dead were 3 women, 2 children and 3 men, said General Abdul Razak, the police chief of Kandahar. Meanwhile, the NATO-led International Security Assistance Force said 5 of its troops died in 2 separate attacks on Friday. 3 ISAF soldiers died as a result of non-battle related injuries in West Afghanistan, the coalition said without providing details. In the east, 2 soldiers were killed by a roadside bomb. Pakistan warned the United States it risked losing an ally if it kept accusing Islamabad of playing a double game in the war against militancy, escalating the crisis in relations between the two countries. Foreign Minister Hinara Banikar on Friday was responding to comments by Chairman of the U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff, Admiral Mike Mullen, who said Pakistan's top spy agency supported attacks on the U.S. Embassy and other targets by the Haqqani network, the most violent and effective faction among Islamist Taliban militants in Afghanistan. The White House on Friday reiterated its call for Pakistan to cut its ties to the Haqqani network and shut down safe havens on the Afghanistan-Pakistan border. Pakistan's Chief of Army Staff General Ashfaq Parvez Kayani, in a military statement released on Friday, rejected Mullen's comments as very unfortunate and not based on facts. Pakistan relies on Washington for military and economic aid and for acting as a backer on the world stage, but support in the U.S. Congress for curbing assistance or making conditions on aid more stringent is rising rapidly. Pakistan's former army chief, General Pervez Musharraf, has said that Pak-US relations have reached a critical stage and it's time Pakistan took a decisive action in this regard. In an interview with a Pakistani television, Musharraf said that the time has come for the army and ISI to come down the fence and decide to take or not to take action against the Haqqani network. Musharraf added that Pakistan should boldly take US into confidence on what it takes on the issue, and they must tell Washington whether they want to bust Haqqani network, or if not, then what is stopping them from doing it must be conveyed to the United States. The comments were made after U.S. military chief Admiral Mike Mullen had earlier said that Pakistan's Inter-Services Intelligence Agency was actively supporting the Haqqani network, which he blamed for an assault on the U.S. Embassy in Kabul last week. A series of bombs went off simultaneously, killing at least 4 people and wounding 9 others in Baghdad on Friday, Iraqi security sources said. An inter-ministry source said 5 bombs were planted around 4 houses in the same neighborhood in Baghdad's northwestern Shia district of Shola. 2 bombs were stuck on doors, 2 were planted in gardens, and 1 was a roadside bomb on the street in front of the houses, the source said. A police source said the blast killed 4 people and wounded 11 others. Another police source said 5 people were killed. Violence has dropped sharply in Iraq since the peak of sectarian fighting in 2006 to 2007, but bombings and other attacks still occur daily as the army and police battle Sunni insurgents and Shiite Muslim militias. The main opposition protest camp in Sana'a has come under heavy mortar fire and sniper attack by Yemeni government forces, killing at least 5 people one day after President Ali Abdullah Saleh returned from a 3-month absence in Saudi Arabia. The fatalities brought the number of those killed to 120 since Sunday, when the ongoing wave of violence hit the Yemeni capital. Troops loyal to Saleh launched the attack a little after midnight on Friday, opening fire with guns and shelling Change Square, which protesters first occupied back in January. In the streets nearby, Saleh's soldiers fought with dissident troops commanded by General Ali Mohsin al-Ahmar. Elsewhere in the north of Sana'a, fighting resumed between the president's troops and supporters of the dissident tribal chief Sheikh Sadiq al-Ahmar in Al-Hasaba district, residents said. Revolutionary fighters loyal to Libya's National Transitional Council have been evacuating residents of Sirte as they prepare for a final assault on one of Muammar Gaddafi's last remaining bastions. Commander Ahmad Zalitni announced on Friday that the fighters have probed the eastern outskirts of the Mediterranean coastal city, the deposed Libyan leader's hometown. NTC commander said on Thursday that their forces gained control of all 3 main towns in the Al-Jufra oasis 24 hours after they announced the capture of Libya's largest desert city, Sabha, in the deep south. The defeat of Gaddafi loyalists in the Saharan oasis has left his remaining forces in Sirte and the desert city of Bani Walid to its west, effectively cut off from any line of escape to the south. Meanwhile, Libya's interim ruler said on Friday they would announce a crisis government within the next few days, signaling a breakthrough in efforts to form a more inclusive administration after the war. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has handed over a historic request to UN Chief Ban Ki-moon, asking the United Nations to admit the State of Palestine as a full member. The Palestinian leader won huge applause and a standing ovation on Friday as he entered the hall just after submitting the membership request. Abbas told the UN General Assembly that he called upon the distinguished members of the Security Council to vote in favor of their full membership, and that he believed anyone with a shred of conscience can reject the application for a full membership in the United Nations and their admission as an independent state. In his address, Abbas said he was ready to return to negotiations based on the 1967 border, saying he did not want to isolate or delegitimize Israel. But he maintained previous peace talks were smashed against the rocks of the oppositions of the Israeli government, which quickly dashed the hopes raised by the launch of negotiations last September. Dmitry Medvedev, the Russian president, has proposed Vladimir Putin, the current prime minister, as presidential candidate for 2012, almost certainly guaranteeing Putin's return to office. Medvedev made the proposal on Saturday in an address to a Congress of United Russia, the pro-Kremlin party that dominates Russian politics. There was no immediate official reaction from Putin or the party, but the proposal brought a heavy round of applause from the Congress delegates. The proposal appears to end months of intense speculation over whether Medvedev would seek a second term or step aside for his powerful predecessor. The United States has agreed in principle to deploy U.S. Predator drones on Turkish soil to aid in the fight against Kurdish separatist rebels. Prime Minister Tayyip Erdogan said the U.S. military flies unarmed surveillance predators based in Iraq and shares images and vital intelligence with Turkey to aid Ankara as it battles Kurdistan Workers' Party rebels who have camps in northern Iraq. Erdogan is speaking to reporters in New York on Friday, where he attended a UN General Assembly, said Turkey has offered to buy or lease the drones and that details are being worked out. US troops are due to leave Iraq at the end of 2011. Turkish officials have expressed concern the PKK might exploit any security vacuum left by the departure of the US military from Iraq. The PKK has fought for Kurdish self-rule for more than 27 years in a conflict that has killed 40,000 people. And that's all for now. Thanks for staying with us.